Hello Internet, it's the Futurist Tom here. Happy April Fool's Day! Today, I'll be making a Pokemon video. What will happen if Alakazam were real? Alakazam would convert all of humanity into the Alakazam species, which can be counted as the Pokemons Abra, Kadabra, and Alakazam. And the mechanism behind all this is actually hidden in plain sight, in the Pokédex. So let's go over the Alakazam species family line. All three have innate psychic abilities, such as teleportation or telekinesis, the manipulation of objects without touching them. In short, these can be broadly generalized as being able to influence the physical world without following the laws of physics. Now, let's go over the big daddy of the trio, Alakazam. According to the Pokédex, it has an IQ of 5,000, with an emphasis on memory, having a, quote, thorough memory of everything that occurred in the world. Aside from winning trivia contests and making it a top applicant for the CIA, it could easily create a superior society than anything humans can, not fighting for some 10-year-old. With its absolutely insane intellect, it can compensate for anything it lacks physically with technology. And if it cannot compensate technologically, it can use its psychic powers. This includes absolutely basic tasks, such as lifting its own head, which is actually a form of medicine. So, being humanoid in form, minus the different head shape and only 3 fingers, we can consider Alakazam a sort of human plus, because of its cognitive and psychic advantages. Contrary to the first impression, Kadabra is not the middle child of this family. It is the method of human conversion into the Alakazam race. According to the Pokédex, there are 2 tales of Kadabra. One says that a human boy transformed into Kadabra after assisting with research into psychic powers, and the other says that a boy with psychic powers suddenly became a Kadabra one morning. In my premise, I will interpret both to be true. Unlike the Pokemon world, we do not have conclusive proof of psychic powers. However, there is a discipline that studies psychic phenomena, parapsychology. Even if most parapsychologists don't claim to have psychic powers themselves, they still do research on those who do. This means that the first Alakazam will begin its conquest of humanity by targeting boys who are studying parapsychology or with psychic powers. They will kidnap the boys and transmute the boys into Kadabras at night. Even if the transformation mechanism is unknown to the human writers of the Pokédex, you know who might know? Alakazam, who has an IQ of 5,000 and is deeply knowledgeable of the psychic world. So, I do not think that it will be a stretch to say that Alakazam will be able to recreate this process. As in the Pokemon games, Kadabra can only evolve into Alakazam when traded. So yes, this will be a society in which maturity requires one to be owned by another. And that is as every bit as scary as it sounds. The first Alakazam would trick a human into trading a Kadabra it owned and immediately releasing that newly evolved Alakazam, making the second free Alakazam in the world. From there, the Alakazam race would have 2 adults that could reproduce with each other by trading or by laying eggs, which could become Abras, which we'll talk about soon. But you may ask, what if the first Alakazam is male? And that is a valid point. After all of the converted boys started male. But there's nothing to suggest that none of the transmuted Kadabras cannot become female after this insane human Kadabra species conversion. Abras will come from eggs naturally made from Alakazam, not made by transmuting human boys. In short, they represent the second generation, the one where survival is independent from humanity. As shown in the Pokemon games, Abras have very little offensive capabilities, even with their psychic powers. Yet, their biology demands an amount of combat victory to progress to the stronger Kadabra stage. This will play out to be exactly like what you will see with bears, but intentional. The Abra will be attacked, but it will switch to a parent Alakazam or sibling Kadabra who will proceed to annihilate the attacker with psychic abilities, allowing the Abra to level up. And eventually, the Abra can become a Kadabra at whatever the real-world equivalent of level 16 of combat experience is, making the first non-transmuted Kadabras. Putting everything together, this is how the conquest will play out. The first Alakazam will get to work very quickly upon arriving in our world. It will find and transmute as many human boys as possible, and then get some unwitting human to trade ownership of one of the Kadabras and then free it. With 2 free Alakazams, they can now trade Kadabras among themselves and create Abra babies. These Abras will be placed in human and wildlife settlements to provoke attackers, so that they can gain combat experience to become Kadabras. Meanwhile, the Alakazam will use their intellect to understand human technologies, culture, and language, and to make their own technologies. All of this will happen in relative secrecy until there are enough combat-capable Kadabra and Alakazam. Then, they will unleash their frightening psychic powers and technologies to conquer humanity. In the end, the only humans spared will be boys viable for Kadabra candidacy. Anyway, that's all for today, folks. Please comment, like, and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. I'll see you next time.